Hi guys, we are going to go over how to complete the request for tenancy approval through Delaware County Housing Authority in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. The request for tenancy approval is utilized by the caseworker when you have picked a tenant to determine if that particular tenant would qualify for the rent amount you're proposing. In number one, you're going to put the name of the public housing agency. For this example, it's Delaware County Housing Authority. The address of the unit that you're renting. In this example, it's 94 South 6th Street, Darby, PA 19023. The requested lease date in number three should be the same as the date you are allowing the tenant to move in on your actual lease agreement. You do have to complete, in addition to this, an actual lease agreement that will be submitted to the Delaware County Housing Authority along with this RFTA or request for tenancy approval. Number four asks for the number of bedrooms. So in this example, there are 3 bedrooms. Number 5 is asking the year the property was constructed. You will need to know what year the property was built because it makes a difference on whether you have to have the lead-based paint disclosure or not. Number 6 asks for the proposed rent. In this example, we're requesting $1,800 a month. And number 7 is the security deposit amount. For this particular property, we are asking for equal to 2 months security. Number 8 talks about the date available for inspection. This particular property is not available right now. However, it will be available after the 15th to be inspected. Number 9 asks for the structure type. In this example, this is a semi-detached property. So it's attached on one side. You'll pick the property or select what corresponds with the property you are listing. Number 10 does not apply here. It says if this unit is subsidized, indicate the type of subsidy. And then we're going to go down to 11. 11 asks about the utilities and appliances. We're going to say that the tenant pays for heating, cooking gas, water heating, and we put a T here for tenant. If the owner pays for heating, cooking, and water, you'll put an O here. Other electric is also the tenant for this particular property. Water is also the tenant. Sewer is O for owner. Trash collection is T for tenant. Now in Darby, and this is not all townships in Delaware County, trash collection is done by the township. However, I put T here for tenant because if the tenant does not, it puts out something that the trash company does not pick up on a regular basis, whether it be bulk furniture or something that the trash company doesn't pick up, the tenant will be responsible for it to make sure that that goes out in the trash. So I did put T here so that they understand that although the township does collect the trash, if it is something that is not regularly collected by the township, it is the tenant's responsibility to dispose of it. This property does not have air conditioning, so I put not applicable. But of course, if your property has air conditioning, you would put whether it is paid for by the tenant or the owner. We're gonna go down and they're asking who's providing the refrigerator. In this case, the owner is providing the refrigerator and also the microwave or range. Keep in mind, you do not have to provide a refrigerator for Section 8's purposes or for the Delaware County Housing Authority. It's not your responsibility. However, you do get more money or if you provide the refrigerator for the tenant. We're going to jump down to owner certification. It says the number 12A, the program regulation requires the PHA to certify that the rent charged to the Housing Choice Voucher tenant is not more than the rent charged for other unassisted comparable units. Owners of projects with more than 4 units must complete the following section for most recently leased comparable unassisted units within the premises. So they're basically saying that you cannot charge more to the tenants through the Section 8 program than you would any other person. So if you have properties that are not rented through Section 8, they want you to list it here to tell them what you're charging other people. My properties are all rented through Section 8. And so they can pretty much see that, and therefore I'm going to leave this section blank. If you jump over to C, if you remember, I said you will need to know when the property was constructed. And the reason why is because anything built before 1978, we know had lead-based paint in it. So if it was built after 1978, they no longer use lead-based paint. So if that was the case, you can check here. The second option, the unit common area servicing the unit and exterior painted surfaces associated with such unit or common areas have been found to be lead-based paint free by a lead-based paint inspector certified under the federal certification program. So if you've gotten lead-based paint testing of any kind, and it came back that they did not find lead in the home, you can check this here. I checked the third option because I did not have the lead-based paint testing, but I am doing a lead-based paint disclosure saying that there is no known lead-based paint in the home. You're gonna drop to the end of this portion and it's gonna ask you for the owner or owner's representative name. You're gonna put that here and then the signature in the second box here. And then it's gonna ask for the business address or the address that you are utilizing for mailing purposes for Section 8 should go here. Your telephone number and then the date should go here. On this right-hand side, your tenant's information is gonna go here. So the name of the tenant head of household, his or her signature, what their address is, their telephone number, and they'll date it as well. This is the lead-based paint disclosure that I checked off that we filled out. It says leaser has no knowledge of lead-based paint and lead-based paint hazards in the housing. And then leaser has no reports or records pertaining to lead-based paint or lead-based paint hazards in the housing. If you know that there is lead in the house, you would check a I here. Or if you have any known records, you would check B here. I am an agent working on my own behalf, but if you do not have an agent and you're filling this out yourself, you do not need to fill this section out. But agent acknowledgement, I am going to initial that I acknowledge that I've told myself that it's my responsible to comply with the section lead-based paint requirements. Again, I am the leaser and I am the agent, so I'm going to sign here. But if you are not an agent, if you're just the leaser, you would just sign and date here. You're gonna also have the potential tenant sign this as well. They will sign under leasing and they will date there stating that they've received this form, they've read it over, and they have acknowledged in this case that there are no records or reports of lead-based paint and no knowledge of lead-based paint by the owner. We're going to jump down to the lease contingency clause. And you should also put in your lease agreement, because it protects both sides, that if for some reason the amount doesn't work out, that neither party are under any obligation to stay within the lease agreement. You're going to have the tenant sign here where it says signature of family representative and date, and then the owner is going to sign here and date as well. Now we're going to come down to the lease addendum. It asks for the tenant's name here, the landlord's name here, and then you're going to put the property address here. This lease addendum is for Violence Against Women and Justice Department Reauthorization Act of 2005. I do recommend that you take the time to read this over, along with all of the addendums that are attached to this, because these addendums do supersede the lease agreement that you will have signed with your tenant. The effective date of the lease addendum is today's date. This lease addendum shall continue to be in effect until the lease is terminated. You're gonna have the tenant sign and date here, and the landlord is gonna sign and date here. So this addendum, again, is attached to the lease agreement, and it does supersede anything that is in the lease agreement. So just make sure that you, as an owner, or if you're an agent representing an owner, that they understand that as well. Both parties should understand that these terms and conditions do supersede the original lease that you've written. So if there is a conflicting term that is in here, and it conflicts with what it says in your lease agreement, this will take precedence over that lease agreement. I do recommend that if you are an agent representing a owner, that you sit down and read this over and kind of go over the gist of the contract with them, give it to them for them to read as well. But just understand that it is legally binding. We're going to come down to the W-9. Now, I don't fill out the W-9 with the packet. I normally wait until they have been approved, and then I send the W-9 directly to the caseworker. And the reason being is because you have to put your social security number on here, or your EIN number, information that you may not want the actual tenant to be privy to. So on this particular form, the W-9, I always do that after the fact. And and the caseworkers understand that, so they're usually fine with that. Now we're gonna go down to the housing assistant payment contract. This tells them who they're paying and where the payments go to. You're going to put under number 2 the tenant's name. Number 3, next to that, you're going to put the property address. Household number 4, you're going to put the people that are residing in the property. The initial lease term, which is the start date of the lease, and the end date of the lease on your original lease agreement should match this. The initial rent to owner, in this example, I'm saying $1,800, but it's whatever you're charging per month for your rent. And then the initial housing assistance payment is, again, what you are charging per month for your rent. This looks familiar because we just completed it. They want you to complete it again, and then they're going to ask you to sign at the bottom. The owner is going to fill out the right-hand side with their full name. They're going to sign underneath. You're going to print the name and put their title of the person completing this. You're going to date it, and it's going to ask you for who they mail the payments to. So they're going to put the owner's name and or whoever is receiving the payments and their address here. This side is for the PHA, and this is Delaware County Housing Authority. And then their portion goes there on the left-hand side. Again, these are all things that you need to read and familiarize yourself with, because it will supersede anything that is in your lease agreement. And it's a lengthy addendum, so it may take you some time to read it. I will attach a copy of the RFTA in the comments, or a link to it, so that you can go to it if you want to just read it, or get in front of having to read it before you have to fill it out, just in case you think you are wanting to rent to Section 8. This goes over the utility allowance schedule. It tells you how much they give each tenant an allotment for things like heating, cooking, air conditioning. And if you remember, I said before, they give you extra allotments of money for certain amenities that are in your home. So this right here mentions a microwave or range and refrigerator, but you can also get additional allotments for other things that are in your home, like central air and things of that nature. You will have to notify them, and when the inspector comes out, they will verify that those amenities are in the home. Here where it says head of household name, you're going to put the tenant's name. You're going to put the property address under unit address and the number of bedrooms. This you'll leave blank. The caseworker will fill this out here on this right-hand side on what they're given or how much allotments they're given. Remember, this form is to make a determination on whether they can afford to rent for the amount you're requesting. Again, the tenant's information here, the unit address that you're renting, and then the number of bedrooms. And you're gonna do it one more time. The tenant's name here, the unit address, and the number of bedrooms. Looks like another time. So they're printing so many of these because they do require also 3 copies of the lease agreement. When you're emailing it, they're not going to ask you to send over 3 copies. They will ask you to send over 1 copy, and I guess they've been duplicating it. But prior to the pandemic, when everybody was home and you had to go into the office, they did require you bring in 3 physical copies of the lease agreement, and then 3 the copies of the RFTA. But now everyone is working from home. So you can email over 1 copy of the lease agreement, but you are going to want to complete all of these in the RFTA, because they will need them. And they have been known to reject it if you don't fill this little bit of information out here. So I would just fill it in. And that concludes the RAFTA. So that I know that was a lengthy form for you guys. But if you have any questions, leave the questions in the comment. I will go over the in some point in another video what you will need to provide all together to the caseworker for them to take a look at the your request for tenancy, along with this form and the lease. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And I hope this video was helpful. If you would like more videos like this, please like and subscribe. Again, leave your comments so that I can answer them or address them in an upcoming video.